I I was a bit late to the party with audiobooks, which is odd, seeing though I've had now two out. Um, but I wasn't until, like yourself, I got a job where I was driving around a lot. I used to listen to music sort of day in, day out. And then
Yeah.
I think I bought just a James Herbert audiobook just on the fly. And I was so
Nice.
drawn into it. I didn't think if I was out driving or whatever that I'd be able to concentrate on the story, but it's amazing how it sort of bleeds into you, even though you're not really think you're taking it in, you know.
Yeah.
And from there, I found them, they're very soothing to me, and I can kind of, I do read a lot, but I think I absorb a story better in audio form.
Oh, really?
Than reading it. Yeah. So it was great for me to be able to get to a stage where I could have one of my stories out there. And
well, I hope I did it well for you.
You did an amazing job, and I wasn't doing a cheap plug there. I mean, so we'll go on to how A Necessary End came to be, because from my perspective, it was quite easy. You know, I'd written the book already. I'd already got it out there in print form, and I thought I stumbled across how ACX and Audible works, and the fact that I could just sort of put my book up there and sort of see if anyone wanted to do it. So what was the process like for you in terms of when you first saw my book, for example, and sort of how did that start off for you, from when you saw it to then when you auditioned to then when we started recording it?
Well, I went to California for a conference on voiceover actors. So I went to the conference, and I met people who were doing a lot of video games, which I do a lot of video games as well. But I went there, and they kept saying, you can make a nice living in audiobooks if you just kind of keep it going. I thought, well, I don't want to read anything I'm not really interested in. It's funny you mentioned James Herbert, because one of the very first books I ever read was Rats.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. I was pretty young, man. And I was reading that book, and I had saved my money to get it.
Wow.
And I had it laying around the house one day, and my dad picked it up. And my dad, you know, he's a big, mean guy. And I thought, oh, crap. I saw him reading it. I thought, and he gave it back eventually, and he said, that's quite a book there, son. I was like, oh, buddy, I thought I was going to get in trouble. Because there's some really spooky parts, and there's a little sex thrown in there. And I thought, oh, man, I'm not supposed to be reading. But that was my start into horror. Okay. And then as I grew older, Stephen King, I discovered him because everyone was talking about him, and some Dean Koontz. But then I discovered H.P. Lovecraft sort of on my own. I think I might have heard Call of Cthulhu by Metallica and thought, what's that? What? And
it's exactly the same as me. Yeah, I discovered Lovecraft through that song. So.
Yeah, and I started, and then I read an interview with Stephen King saying when he was a kid, he found some Lovecraft in his dad's belongings, and he read that, and it freaked him out, of course. And so I really got into Lovecraft, and I still can that's an author I can take back out and reread it and think, wow, this is great, because he uses such a weird language, and a lot of times I'll have to get a dictionary and look up he's got no problem with throwing a word at you've never even heard before.
No, he can make up a whole language on his own, and you just let him do it. So.
Yeah, he was that good. So, but I've always been drawn to horror and science fiction and things like that, fantasy, and it's just more. It's very interesting to me. It's hard for me to read about mundane day-to-day stuff, man. When I read a book or hear a book, I want an escape. Same as music. I want some sort of escape from just the hassles of the day, And so I've always been drawn to the horror thing. And I saw your book. Yours is the first one I've ever done, and that's why another reason it took me so long. Right at the end, I started getting a rhythm for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure took me long enough. But so I read your excerpt, the little blurb that that you can read about the book, and I was like, oh, this is the one right here. I read a bunch of them. One was pretty good. It was kind of a sci-fi end of the world thing, which is fun to read.
Mm-hmm.
And I read yours. I said, oh, I'm going to try this guy first, man. This is perfect for me. And I sent it in, and it was almost like the old days in music, getting that rejection notice, because you had kind of disregarded it somehow or hit the wrong button or something. And I thought,
I think it like timed out. I think, yeah, it timed out or something. I was just about, I'd listened to it. I was just about to, hit the accept button or whatever it was, and it just wouldn't let me. So no.
Well, I was like, man, I was all disappointed for like a couple of days. I was walking around going, that's the one I wanted to read. My girlfriend's going, well, there'd be something else interesting for you. And I said, no, I want that one.
Oh, I feel really bad now that I made you feel like that.
No, no, but it worked out, and I was really happy that I got a chance to read that one. Yeah.